Happy Friday. It's Friday, right? It's like yesterday, or Wednesday was Thursday, and I was kind of thinking yesterday was Friday, so hope it's so. Or I'm really confused. Alright. Adjust my monitor here. Alright. So I still working on this stupid one. What were we doing last time? If I remember right, we got all the details for Twy done here.
Here are some facts about flying. Here are some facts about flying. Facts about flying.
Okay.
Facts about
One thing I noticed here.
some facts about flying. Here are some facts about flying. Here are some facts flying.
Okay, the mouth will still be open. We're here. Hello, Electric. I think I had moved this before, and now I don't think I like it that way.
Flying. Here are some facts about 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 flying. Flying. Flying.
Okay, that should work. Rainbow snarky look. Okay, and Scoots was done, I think. Oh no, Scoots needed a little bit of TLC. Because it's flat. I just needed to give her something here. What I can probably actually do is have up till here. Have it. Play ahead just a little bit of that. Okay. Then add a little bit of full body motion. There. It's not much, but it's something. Let me drop her head a little bit more. And did I actually... Let's see if I can make this work too. Give her a little bounce.
One.
I'll leave that for now. Other thing too here, we're gonna do this. Yeah, that feels a lot more natural. That and so some of these details you don't think about until after you haven't looked at it for a little while. So this is left. sarcasm. So I'm gonna put it up a little bit more. And then I'm going to take the eyes, and I'm going to smooth those out a little bit. Just make them a little less bounce. Especially on that right eye. Okay. It's minor stuff, but when you go through that second time, you don't realize the stuff. Yeah, and her eye bounces enough, and her ear. This will do cleanup later. Alright, so what I tell you I need to do is more lip syncing. Fun. Nice thing is, this one actually isn't that bad. What did I name this one? Think about it. Oh, wait, no, I already did that. Damn. I thought I was gonna have to lose my copy, and then I did it anyway.
One, you need wings to fly.
Okay.
2, awesome.
That's satisfying.
Wings to fly. 2, awesome.
Have I had anybody lips say awesome?
You need wings to fly. 2, awesome.
I don't think so. I think I think of. Anyway. Really need one Twilight right now.
One.
Gotta be careful because the audio's. Just chicken. I don't have any lip syncing with it to work, make it work either, or make it stupid. I was like, what's the second one's already available for? Never mind. Alright, so I need... Oh yeah, this toilet doesn't have bones, that's why I can't see them. Never mind. I'm sad. Alright. Do my normal. Maybe not quite that much. Put it there. And I'll keep the normally I'll turn the neutral down like to the standard face look, but I think she wants to stay happy. Chicken. This is one, right? And then let's have her like probably lose a little bit of the grin. Go back to a more normal face.
One. You need one. One. You need. You need wings.
I suppose put the secondary viewport on a secondary monitor. Ooh. You can definitely throw it to another monitor. I mean, I could separate this here, and this is a separate window. I can't see it, but it does go off into another monitor. If you expand it, it only will go to the maximum that your preview window allows. So if you're running at 720, which is what I'm running my preview at, it will only maximize up to 720, which is what this is. And is one of the reasons that running in 2K mode, that's my monitor does, is kind of a bad thing, because I usually run at 720 because it's lower resolution, easier to process, makes it run faster. But if you're running in 2K, everything shrunk down smaller, including this window. So I have an issue where let me move this back, where the preview window here won't get this big. When I'm running in 2K, it'll like maybe I think get that big total, no matter how big I make the window, which is kind of annoying. But it's either that or I up it to 1080, get the higher quality window, but then I'm also processing more, and I'll drop my frames rate. So it's like it's fine. I can see more detail in that amount, so it's okay. But that also goes for animation stat editor. I can technically take this. I used to in the early days would set it up so that like on my other monitor it would be like this, and I would have 2 previews and the entire bar across the bottom, which was pretty nifty because you could just go right over the other monitor and you had all your stuff there. The only reason I don't do that anymore is mainly because of streaming, because I can't put things off the monitor because you can't see it then. So I just got in the habit of keeping it on one. and kind of coming up with a layout I like that allows me to keep this. I definitely probably could come up with better layouts, but it's what I'm used to. Yeah, anything could be moved off to another one. This could be moved off to another one. Technically, if you have 3 monitors, it would actually be pretty nifty if you have the middle one working with it, and you put like your element viewer and your console out on that monitor, and you put your stuff in that one. And then just had like 2 previews. That could be kind of nifty, but I'm fine with what I got.
You need
Yeah, so it's not you, it's yeah. Okay, so this is yeah. So it's yeah. Yeah, need. Yeah, that's gonna be a weird one to combine, because it's not yeah and need. It's combined, so it's you need. Yeah, that's gonna be weird. Okay, you need. I'm gonna go to the E first and then figure it out from there. This is a really complicated one. It's like a SOS signal. Or SOS signal. Morse code. Wow. I kind of took like a half nap before stream, so my brain is still waking up. Try to. This is gonna just be a messy try to figure out.
You need one. You need.
think it's actually just going to be...
You need wing. You need. You need.
Well, I think actually I can probably start opening this up earlier than I have done.
You need wing. You need.
Nope.
You need. You need.
I might just skip it and come back to it. It's sometimes easier that way. She's purring. You need. Okay. So this is going to be the open. Okay. She could be so annoying. So I think this needs to be still a little later on its O sound. Okay, the stretch and pucker need to be delayed more towards this end.
Wings! You need wings! You need wings! Wings!
And then there's still a little bit of a cut spot right here. I'm gonna blend that.
Wings! Wings! You need wings! You need wings! You need wings! You need wings!
It's actually not too bad. It's gonna be from this angle.
You need wings. You need wings.
You need wings.
You need wings to fly. One.
Okay, I don't like this part here either. Because technically it would be one. If you won, you'd have your face would be more puckered forward. I don't know if I can actually do that. Let her smile a little less, Jesus Christ.
One. You need one. You need wings to fly.
That's a little better.
One. One. You need wings. One. You need wings. You need wings.
It's actually not too
You
bad.
need wings. You need wings. You need wings. One. You need wings. You need you need wings to fly.
Okay. So that'd be tough. So need wings. I think this needs to blend a little quicker or smoother.
Wings to fly.
So F fly. So it's gonna be that armor pucker, lip bite, lip out, open. Showing the teeth is probably nice. A little bit more pucker. So it's gonna be like and then I. So this is the end. So I'm gonna pick the middle. I'm gonna make this the open. Because here it needs to be further forward. And then here okay. So not a super amount of pucker here. Actually, it's gonna be a little bit. Hold on. We're not a super amount of stretch.
To fly. Wings to fly. To fly. 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 You need wings to fly. Wings to fly. Two. Fly. Two. 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 Wings to fly. Two. Fly. Two. Fly. Fly. Two. Wings to fly.
Okay. That should be good for now. This one is at least easy. It's just 2 words.
Two. Awesome. Two.
This needs to be very exaggerated, I think. Wow, her voice. So it'd be okay. Just trying to be smirking a little bit here.
Two. Two. Two.
probably gonna have some exaggerated motion, so I probably don't have to put too much detail into it. Oh, she's hiding. He silly thinks it's pretty cool. Good thing we got Brent there. Smart boy. Would you say your animations were harder when you were starting out because there was a lot to learn, or were they harder as you got more experience because you held yourself to higher standards? Actually, yes, more to the later. When I was starting out, there's a motive. I love learning things and exploring and playing with new things. And when I was starting out, there was a big motivation thing. So I was really, well, things were challenging. I guess because you say there's a difference between harder and more challenging. Usually, challenging things are harder, but in a much more rewarding way. So while things were harder earlier on, I would consider them more challenging in that they were much more rewarding. But I was also still learning, so a lot of the extra little details in the backgrounds that I now put into things, I would skip over them because I didn't really know about it. So I definitely feel that the things are, I guess they're harder now just because since I understand more things, I don't have as much of that exploration and that learning. It's more of going through the motions of I know exactly what I need to do, and it's just getting through the steps of doing it, which is kind of removes some of the fun of things. I think that's why I've slowed down a little bit with things too, because the only times I really get motivated with projects are ones that incorporate something new that I've never really done before, or an aspect that it really would challenge me. So, but the hardest thing about starting out was just learning the interface, learning what this is. Because now when I look at it, I know what all the buttons are, what they do. I know at any of these things when I click it, what it's going to do. And when you're starting out, you don't have any of that, so it's complicated because you're just looking at it and you're like, okay, I need to do this, but how do I do it? And that's and when you're trying to just make something and you're spending all this workarounds trying to it sometimes can get frustrating, but it is rewarding. But I hate the fact that I hold myself to higher standards. It's annoying. I really wish that I could just cut off things now, but when you know how to do things at a specific level, it's really hard to not go to that level. I was doing a project not long ago where I wasn't doing any of the hair cleanup stuff, and normally that's something that I need to do to get things out of the way, but that was not in the scope of things that I was doing, so it was hard to hold myself back on that. Hello, Surya.
Awesome.
Surya.
Awesome.
Surya.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome.
This one, I think, the enhanced one will really come in handy, but I can't actually use it anymore without having to redo this whole one, and I'm not going to do that, so. Because this isn't just awesome, it's awe. Awe. I'm actually going to skip some of the first sounds and just go right to the ah. Okay, so this is going to be there. At this point, I actually want to have it go to neutral because I don't want her smiling. Yeah, I don't have the same flexes. Let's see what I can do here for M. Question: how do you scale a model to a smaller size but not have the model figure all mess up? I'm gonna fit another model on a different model, but the model part, body part, either looks wacky or disappears. Or for one, if you're zeroing limbs together, if the rotations are wrong, make sure you zero to the positions, not the actual bone. Like don't zero like this, zero like this, because then it'll, as long as they're in the same looking forward, it'll shift it to its position, but it won't bend it weird. Sometimes proportions can get messed up. Actually, I've been doing something lately off stream with some things, and with making ponies with different proportions by using some stuff that I can kind of show what I've learned. Let's talking about new things are motivating. That's some of the new things I've been playing around with. That's actually got me playing around off stream. Let me finish.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's fine. I can leave it like that for now. So let's say, because this is going to be a little bit different than probably what you're intending, but it might have something related to. So let's just grab. I don't want to grab somebody well known because then it just gets weird. Let's grab. No. I only say not somebody well known because you're going to have perceived ways of looking at them. Let's grab one of the other ones from here. not the enhanced ponies. These ones. So let's grab not a male because they're bad. She's too cutesy. Yeah, I might just grab one of the main 6. Let's just make a beefy. Actually, here. Okay, let's grab this one. So let's say that we wanted to make this pony. I want to change its proportions, but I don't want to. I want to still make it usable. So I was playing with this earlier, and it actually worked pretty good. So let's say that we want to make them feel taller and bigger. So what I was doing, let's say a taller, bigger, more muscular one. I'm gonna go, or we're gonna go like this. So it's gonna be taller. The legs, I think we can probably keep those as they are. Yeah. So I'm just gonna start adding a crap load of scaling, but the scaling is, what would you call that? It carries down the bone. I don't want to lock any to the world because then that starts getting messy. Yeah, I did that like 3 times before the stream started for me too. So then, but if I start locking bones, that makes it difficult because it's gonna make it so I can't move it or manipulate it as much. If it's locked, but if I go and lock something else to it, it will gain the scales. So it's kind of difficult in that regard. But so I want to make them bigger. So I'm gonna make some bigger back legs. And normally a more muscular pony, I'm going to say, has a smaller backside but bigger thighs, which is what I'm kind of going for here. We're actually going to go a little bit bigger than what the ground is going to hold. We're going to go like, let's go like this big. And then we're going to go and grab these. We're going to shrink that up a little bit. Oh, the ground's uneven, that's why. Okay, and then these ones. We're going to zero that a little bit. So go there. Okay, this leg is a little small. Something got scaled there weird. I think the thigh didn't get it. Yeah, that's why. So we're going to scale it the same as the right. There. We got a bigger backside. Chest 1, I'm going to keep fairly small. Chest 2 is not going to become too much bigger either. Kind of the robo legs were, I essentially had the same issue with scaling where I had to be careful on how I did the scaling, but that was a separate model locked to it altogether. But see, I guess, and I'm going to make these legs bigger. So I want pretty big shoulders here, but the shoulders are going to be brought up closer to the body. Probably going to also separate them a little bit more. Walk cycles and stuff don't work on them too now unless you can't even load to it or load to prior because it's just gonna be all wonky. But it's for it's a trade-off. And then these I'm gonna try this. Let's make these a little smaller. No, they got to be pretty big. I think what I'm gonna need to do is I'm gonna turn this up. Move this up a little bit. We're gonna make this, they're sitting up a little higher. But that's not bulky enough. We'll make them a little more bulky. Let's do that. Now these are gonna have to be brought down a little bit more. But I gotta make sure it balances in size. So this part of the leg is getting a little big. So it's this like weird balance of everything. Can't go too much until I start seeing the like crushing of the bones there. I don't want to do that. So instead, I will just crunch these up. Okay. And then big beefy means smaller head. Big beefy also means head moving back a little bit and stretching up a little taller. I think this needs to be a little longer too. So if you're ever looking to mess with some ponies sizing stuff, you can make some pretty decent different shaped ponies this way. Neck might be a little long, and like here, I think that the thighs should actually be bigger. Bigger thighs. But I'm not locking any of the other ones. I don't want to mess that part up. So I'm gonna lock those, but then I'm gonna just move these up. So be careful, because if you go too far, you're gonna start crushing the polygons. There, I got a bigger pony. I think the neck might still be a little bit beefy. Probably increase the head size just a teeny bit more to compensate. There, that looks pretty good. Let's I'm gonna lock the shoulders for 1 sec here, just so I can turn the chest 2 up. See, that's what I'm doing. Like, it got 2 legs. It's like a corgi. Good puppers. Okay. And I gotta be angry. So, it's just an interesting way to reshape ponies a little bit. And you can now, well, I think the back legs might need a little more beef, but now you can still modify them like normal. You can still animate it like you would anything else. So that's why I did it this way. It's coming from the roundhouse. But I've been playing around with that a little bit of to make everybody feel unique and different, to try reshaping them a little bit. His corgis are adorable, but I know that's probably kind of only covering some of the stuff you're questioning. What I normally do, so let's say that I won't do the mech leg on this one, but that's probably what you're trying to do. The most important thing with attaching one thing to a model is don't zero scale something. That's probably going to cause you some issues. What I normally do is that I would position the leg where you'd want to have it on this model, and if I'm locking it to this one's right shoulder, I would lock it to the right shoulder bone and drop the right shoulder's scale from this one. I would literally go in here and type, because normally it's going to be 0.1. I would go in and type in 0.01, so it's exactly 1/10. And then I would go on, but when you lock the leg to it, it's going to scale the leg to 1/10. But 1/10 is an easy number to math out, so then you just go to the leg itself and scale that up to 1.0 instead of 0.1, 10 times its size. It offsets the scaling. What this allows you to do is that you can still use this shoulder bone to position it on the body itself. This makes it so that because if you just put the shoulder of the mechanical leg on there without locking it to the shoulder bone and moving the shoulder bone with it, you're not going to have the skin of the shoulder moving around here. You kind of see the skin here would be moving. You're not going to get that. And even this, you would probably like move down to here. Boom. I kick. But when you scale things to 0, and if you actually watching the shoulder here, if I scale it to 0 and I go to grab it, now I don't have any selection anymore. And even if I go to put that scale back up again, I hadn't saved it yet. So if I drop the scale to 0 and I lock it in, now I go back to put the scale up. Oh, it actually worked this time. Doesn't always let you actually get it back again. Sometimes it's just gone in the void forever, and you're not going to be able to get your bone back. Trying to make an anthro. I know some of the people use hex editing, I believe, for some of that, but I have no idea how that works, so can't help you there. But just make sure the easiest way to do it is to lock the two together and just make the bone of the base model 1/10 the size and increase the scale of whatever one's being attached to it to 10 times the size. It'll look the same. Yeah, just do not, whatever you do, try not to lock. I will normally, if I need to scale anything down to be invisible, I will not use 0. When I'm doing this type of thing, I'll put 0.1, or I'll do it 10% and 100 or 1000% because it's easy numbers and you're not playing with too small. But if I need to hide something, I'll just do 0.001 because I'm technically still able to move the bones, but now the thing is only 1% of the size, so it's teeny tiny. It's essentially the same thing, but I'm not going to have some of the same issues that I would have by scaling it to 0. Only time I scale things to 0 is if the bone itself is meant to be gone. So if I have a Pegasus that I'm using, but I don't want the wings at all, I want to make it an Earth pony, I will scale the wings to 0 because they're not going to be tied to anything. Otherwise, I recommend do not scale any of them to 0. Pony's Dref. Pony's big scary pun. Rawr. I make giraffe. Why is this? Why is it be? Oh, shit. What have I done with this poor pony? No, 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 no. Actually, it's kind of reminds me of Mr. Garrison or something. Have the thing on the legs and the big head. At the side for tone now. There. Going normal. Well, as normal as this can be. I don't know why, but it actually kind of works. It's creepy as hell, but it works. Yeehaw. Okay, I'm gonna delete this. That's wrong. It is terrifying. It's in the main. Oh, I need. I probably, now that I think about it, should put something under this board. It's kind of hovering there.
To fly. Two. Awesome.
I guess I'm not gonna be able to search A frame because it's just gonna search frame and anything that has the letter A in it. I probably would. We're gonna find it anyway. What would be something to search for? Something like that. Would it be wood? I just hope I get lucky. I can almost guarantee there's something in here I can snag that would work. You can't see behind it. No, its lip is too thick. Its lip is too thick. Nope, you can't use it. It's my OC. Don't steal. I'm gonna copyright it. That's really grungy. It's kind of the shape I was looking for, though. Too grungy, though. It's not pony enough. It's dirty. Just looking for posts. That'll work. Bigger than I thought it was going to be. Still fine. Oh, except for the other side. Every other side has this board popping up. Maybe I'll just do this instead. Don't need anything detailed, just something. So it has to be in by at least that amount. Okay, and I don't get any clipping. If you put two textures really, really close to each other, let's see if I can get close enough. Right there on that edge. You go far enough away, and then you zoom in. You get this. It's one of the reasons that if you look at the pony eyes here, if I zoom in a whole lot, this is something else I learned in regards to this. So this is about the max zoom I can do, but you'll get this with the eyes. Like even here, it's considered that the bones of the teeth inside there are close enough because of the distance that it doesn't know which texture is to put in front. And I'm so zoomed in. I can't really select it there. Oh, I can zoom in more. Yeah, this is where you get really bad. But really, I am like, for a comparison how far I'm zooming in, yeah, I'm actually way out here. So, I hope that you never have to zoom in this much on something. But you could definitely see some... there might be some errors, but the tail doesn't have any because there is no textures overlapping in that distance. It's even doing it from here, but that's because normally you're not going to normally have zoom higher than like this maybe on something, but even here you can see this from this distance is causing issues. So it's an annoying thing that I found, but one thing I did find was that only is caused, or it's mainly comes up when you are turning the camera, so like this. A normal camera zoom that might be causing that would be something like this. You can start seeing some of the edges on the eye. And this is just kind of a normal zoom. When you actually render it, it doesn't really show that because the motion blur kicks in. So you don't get, you're not going to get like this edge thing. Post-processing, which is called the subpixel jitter, is going to clean that up a lot. But it will cause kind of like what looks like a fuzzy shifting edge. And it's still annoying, especially when you're trying to do a really, really strong zoom. But I did find that as long as you don't turn the camera, so here if I just move backwards and forwards, it actually doesn't cause the error. But as soon as, yeah, side to side is fine too. I'm just shifting position. As soon as I change rotation, that like this is using the mouse, this is using the keyboard, which is actually a pretty nifty thing to know. You can see as I get further away that it gets stronger, because it means that you can do super zoom in reverse shots as long as you don't do a changing of position like that. So anyway, oh yeah, you can do that too if you shrink the model instead, to do false perspective on sizes. Yeah, that works too. It doesn't, You're going to still kind of get the issue because you are putting the parts closer together, so you'll probably be running that issue at less distance, but I'm pretty sure that that's not an equivalent distance, so you can still cheat a little bit. But I hate that error. I can kind of understand why the engine has problems with it. It's probably the way it calculates distance, and it's saying that right now, between me, Twilight's close, and Twilight, it's got like this much distance. But it's probably looking at you could see it like a percentage. So it's like 1% of the camera's distance. But the further I go away, that percentage gets closer and closer together, where the engine's calculating the distance between the coat and her skin is minuscule compared to how far the camera is away. So oh, and here's an interesting thing. When they say that the camera adds like 10 pounds, they aren't lying. Most cameras in television are running like this, where they're like at a high zoom in. But if you start moving in to get the same size and you're closer, to go to the extreme example of it, you can start seeing the face actually starts thinning because of you're starting to see at a higher angle. And while you're normally not going to have a camera like this, it means that, between those two, when a camera is zoomed in from a distance on you or more, it's going to make you look chubbier because it's going to make your face fatter. So when they have that thing about the camera has 10 pounds, it actually is kind of a thing. Back to finishing up her lip sync.
You need wings to fly. Wings. You need wings. Wings to fly. You need wait.
You need wait.
One. You need one. One. You need wings to fly. One. You need wings to fly. Fly. To fly. Wings to fly. To fly. Two. Wings to fly. Two. Awesome. 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 Two. Awesome.
Okay.
Awesome.
Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome. Awesome.
Okay, I want to go a little less, remove some of the lip bite.
Awesome. 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 Awesome.
That's pretty good.
One. You need wings. One. You need wings to fly. You need wings to fly. Fly. To fly. Wings to fly. Two.
Okay, some more frames than I thought. I thought it was only a couple of frames. I'm like, I don't even know if that's going to be visible. When you're previewing at infinite frame rate, because I can like play it this slow, and yeah, I can start seeing details, but this is the only things that are actually going to be rendered.
One. You need wings to fly. Two.
Awesome. 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 Awesome.
Yeah, I like that a little more.
Awesome.
Is there a way to lock the preview to the FPS you desire? If there is, I don't know if you'd really want it to, because the whole point is that it's flexible for you to do that with. Though, if you want to see what it is supposed to be running at, just click in there and just use the left button, right button. Because whatever, it's going to lock to the frame for that, so it's going to show you exactly what that is. And if you actually do it like this, just hold it down, it should jump frame to frame.
Awesome.
So, but like even here, if I preview it from here, you can see here the frame rate.
You need wings to
it's playing it at 30, but I'm only going to have this final at 24, so it's technically playing at a higher frame rate than the final would be. Though that's even false here because there's no motion blur or anything else. So, but I understand why they don't have it set up that way. It should be flexible, where because when I hold shift here, there is an underlying frame limit, and you can actually kind of see it because nothing in here can go from A to B without it actually changing and shifting over that distance, no matter what. And that applies to, if I were to take this chalkboard and I shifted it like voila, you would see here it's shift. And you would think that if I did it like this, that well, let's just do it. Rotation is easier with that. That this is a to B. It's just bam, it's changed. No, it is actually, if it is actually moving from A to B at its minimalist frame rate. So you can say that this is one frame. So let's zoom way in. If you see it, if you go really close here, you can see that it actually is shifting. And when I hold shift, it is moving within that frame rate. I am locking now to each of those individual frames. I can't see that in between because I'm essentially at the atomic level of bits. I am at what would this be? 0.1% of a second. So I'm really, really small. By comparison, that is one frame. If you turn off these locks, this is where you can actually select that kind of stuff. But I highly recommend you do not work with these off, as I've had uses for it, mainly fixing some of these issues where like something got a little weird with one individual little bit there with how it moved because of a copy error that I did. But otherwise, I really I highly recommend you always work with these on, mainly because if you're working between frames, so these are your two frames. If you shut these off and you do an animation in here, it's going to be invisible. Nobody's ever going to see it because this is your frame, or this is your frame and this is your frame. You're not working between a frame. Nobody's going to see it. Like, so say like I do this and I have this board jump up here. You don't see that motion at all. So don't work with that off at all if you can ever help it. If you need to work in that mode to fix something, sure, but be careful that you turn it back on or something. I think I can count on two hands how often I've actually had to turn those off.
You need wings to fly. 2.
Awesome.
1. You need wings to fly. 1. You need wings to fly.
I wonder if I can just...
2. 2.
Oh, yeah, I could.
2.
I can't actually use this one.
To fly.
The other ones I can cheat it and
You
use
need
what
wings to
I did for the motion.
You need wings to fly. 2.
But this one I have to actually correct. Oh, I actually had modified this face, so I'm going to put it on this face. Okay. Okay, I'm going to actually add in the motion with the legs here. weird too, because somewhere in here, this underlying level, it's different. Yeah, it's here, and this one's here. It's weird. Yeah, one's on one side, one's on the other. It's an easy fix. So I want to have this one be that, and this one be that. There. Okay, this again in. Oh, actually, I was doing these based on sideways bit, but I probably should actually be locking these based on her outside legs. Actually, I should do that. All the way up to here, I think. Yeah. Just because of the consistency. This is why you keep in keyframe until you don't need it anymore. Probably. If I had to make a choice, because I'm gonna have to lock them to something. This is the correct one to lock it on. I'm probably gonna have to lock all of them to this, and then just actually I probably should have these marked. So I'll have to do some more corrections, but this way it should be, just to make sure that her hoofs are always in the same place. Some of these I don't really need to do, but it can have an effect on her coat. of these ones. I'll fix them afterwards. Okay, so then I gotta fix these again. So I think I actually had it right before. I was not gonna care. Some of these. Do you think SFM will stay as a beta forever? Yeah. Why take it out of beta? It's just it's the exact same. It's free software. By keeping it beta forever, they can effectively just state that any of the problems that exist are because it's in beta, and they're not really obligated to fix it. Why is okay? So here. She's suddenly becomes backwards. I don't want that. Kind of. So I'm gonna actually take her right foot. So she's back to normal from here. Yes. So I'm gonna take her left foot and her right foot, and I'm gonna lock the right foot where it is, and keep it here. And then I'm gonna take the left foot and I'm gonna put it. Oh no, I had that wrong. I'm gonna have the right foot stay towards this first point, and I want to have the left foot take the backward point. Well, I didn't actually lock that. There. Nice. I need 240. I have 144. I'm not going to notice any of the difference. Actually, mine can go up to 165, I think, but I never have it on. Most of the stuff I play, if I play it on max settings, don't get close to 144 anyway. Like Monster Hunter at max, I can get at like 90 to 100. But so why overwork my monitor? I know when it comes to computers, there's a lot of because I can. I'm actually working on building a list of new computer stuff to get. My processor is getting older, and so I want to get a new one. Oh, that's not gonna work. I haven't really looked into the cards much lately, the new ones. From what I can tell, the process, if you're talking about like the new NVIDIA cards, the processing power of it was like 5 to 10% more powerful than a 1080 Ti, which is a base level of that. It still has to work up to like a Ti range, so I mean it definitely has the potential for a lot more power. But I have a 1080 Ti, so I see no reason in. Okay. Let's see if I can cheat this a little bit. I can. Ha. Well, the thing is I have a Frankenstein machine, so it's just an old processor. So my 1080 Ti is right now with a 4770K i7. So it's like 4 or 5 years old. Which is not a bad processor. 4770K is a pretty good processor, but it's my bottleneck right now compared to the rest of my PC. I want to get an 8700K. That's because that's kind of the higher end budget processor. But my current motherboard doesn't support or doesn't support a 8700, so I'd have to get a new motherboard. And if I'm getting a new motherboard, I'm currently running DDR3 RAM. Yeah, I haven't really overclocked it, but yeah, I love this 4770K. Well, I did, but I definitely want to upgrade to the 8700. But no, so I'm running DDR3, so if I get a new motherboard, I might as well go to DDR4. So I'm going to do that, so you get an 8700K? Is it good? I would assume so if you got it, but and actually the RAM isn't that bad. It's more expensive for sure, but not. It's cheaper than when I had it, or when I was looking into it. When I was originally getting my motherboard now, which DDR4 existed, but I decided to stick with DDR3 because DDR4 was exceedingly more expensive. I'm also considering moving or getting a gaming hard drive and getting a motherboard that supports M.2. But that's kind of on the fence. The cost-wise, it's not too much more, but it's M.2 looks really fucking slick. So I'm highly considering it. But I'm not probably going to buy a lot of that stuff. It's August, or it's almost if they had an A700 for 270, that's actually a fucking good deal. Well, the SSD, if I'm looking for M.2, is a bit more expensive than a SATA or a SATA, but that's fine. If I'm gonna get some of the stuff, I might as well not just get cheap and replace it earlier. But so yeah, just to replace my processor, I'm gonna have to essentially replace my RAM, my motherboard, and then potentially just get a hard drive upgrade for just Steam stuff. I thought there was a different upgrade because my graphics card's great. I'm not complaining about that. My power supply has more than enough. I think that's an 850. And I have a crap load of hard drives as it is, but I need them. But because it's August 31st, and it was September and then October and then November, I'm pretty sure unless I can find a good deal, I'm gonna find better deals by just waiting until Black Friday time. Black Friday month anyway. I think the last time I did upgrades for my computer, which was my graphics card and something else, I can't remember what I did. I got that as a I got that like the month of November because they were good sale. Yeah, I think it was the 960 or the 970 I was looking at right now, and I was looking at a 500 gig. So it's probably that might be exactly the one that I was looking at. Actually, let me check. I am curious. I swear that is exactly the one I was looking at. Let's see here. Oh, I was looking at the 960. Well, the 960 is 160 right now. Where's the Or is the 970 for 160? Still, it's like $8 difference for the higher end version. The speed differences between the 960 and the 970 to me it didn't look too extreme. Was there a speed difference? Yes, but you're looking at the difference between like was it like 3,400 megabytes per second versus 36, and it was like it's a too if there's a price difference, it's negatable. So. But yeah, so I have a lot of stuff I need to do. Yeah, I had never even really heard of M.2. I wasn't even I was kind of outside the market for hard drives for a while because I kind of had what I had and didn't need to look in anymore. And I was looking at SSDs again. I was like, what the hell is M.2? It's pretty nifty. Why is one leg so broken and the other one not? Oh, I might have done a motion with everything selected. No, because I would have broke something else then too. What do you have? If you have a pair, are you running them in a RAID? Because then, yeah. I had a RAID 0 once. I probably won't do it again because I did have no RAID. Oh, okay, so just two separate ones. Yeah, I had a RAID 0 once, and I had one of them start failing, and that was during the render before a convention, and that hits panic mode when you start having frames failing because you have sectors failing on your hard drive, and you're having a RAID just doubles that chance. So I essentially have refused to go RAID again unless I do like a RAID 5 or something, but which I guess with the speed of the M.2 stuff, having a RAID 5 is a little bit more reasonable because the speed, you're going to lose a little speed on the 5 or the RAID 5 setup, but you're going to regain it by just having insane speeds. Yeah. Well, for those, I mean, the whole point of a RAID is to increase the speeds for processing, but do you really need it? Oh yeah, this one, I need to actually pull her back. The legs there should be like this. I think they would. Okay, so its leg is straight like that. This one is bent like that. Which means that I need to twist these a little bit. Head is not going down far enough. Feels like it gets longer. I'll go with that.
Wings to fly. One. You need wings to fly. Two.
Awesome.
You need.
Okay, so I have to just unlock these, fix the weird thing that's causing here. So playhead. So it'll always go right to the middle, so it's safe. So I just gotta. Oops. Oh, probably wouldn't have mattered. Or would it?
Awesome.
Yeah, it would have. It would have been like that.
Awesome.
Okay.
One. You need. One. You need wings to fly. Two.
Awesome.
One. You need. One. You need. One. You need.
It bounces off.
One. You need. One. You need wings to fly. Two. One. You need wings. One. You need wings to. One. You need wings. You need wings. Need wings to fly. Need wings to fly. Need wings to fly.
I don't really. I was thinking about playing with the back, but I don't see a need.
One. One.
frame blend, so it really can't get any better than that.
One. You need one. You need one. One.
Definitely gonna need a little bit more detail than that.
One. You need wings. You need. You need. You need wings. You need wings. You need wings. You need wings. You need wings.
Let's get the audio on because I needed to
You need wings.
time. Well, I'll see back.
Wings. Wings. You need wings. Need wings. Need wings. Need wings. Need wings. You need wings to one. You need wings. Wings to fly. Wings to fly. Wings to fly. Wings to fly. Fly. To fly. Fly. Wings to fly. To fly. Wings to fly. Wings to fly. Wings to fly. You need wings to fly. Wings to fly. Wings to fly.
It's a little stiff, but I'll fix it in post. I have no idea what Vidly is. I only browse like 4 websites on the entire internet. So new, maybe like 5 or 6, but I really don't browse outside of that.
2.
Plus I pay for YouTube Red, so I'm gonna use it.
2. 2. 2. Fly. 2. 2. 2. 2. Awesome. 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 2. Awesome.
Okay, let's look for a base. little too quick on the ending here.
You need one. You need one. One. You need wing. One.
They really didn't even seem to change the timing.
One. You need one. You need one. You, you, one. One. You need one. One. You need one. One. You need one.
If anything, it needs to be earlier
You need
or later.
one. You need one.
Nope. This whole thing would just be, oops, not like that. Maybe just extend the big end, but not.
One.
No.
One. You need one. You need one. One. You need wing. You need wing. One. You need wings. One. You need wings.
That should be
One. One.
Then I gotta do the bouncy bounce.
One. 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 You need one. You need wings to fly. One. You need wings to one. You,
Don't need for this part. I wonder if play with the head here. Oh yeah, I probably should do the leg here. So from here to here. This point to this point. Probably want to have it lift a little earlier. Does that make sense? Probably isn't going to make too much of a difference, but it matters to me. Well, the only reason the step's there is because when I keyframed it, I didn't realize that I moved the model backwards, and so I was just too lazy to redo the keyframe. The leg step is just easy. It's really mechanical, but I really don't care because in this shot you don't see it. But sometimes it's not a bad idea to do it if you're planning to potentially change cameras around. So, because here normally I'd have her dip to go backwards, but in the camera shot, you really can't even tell that she's moving backwards. Because of that, I don't really see the point of putting the effort into giving a dip if you don't even know she's going backwards. So I'm just going to leave her like that. But she does have... So this motion right here, the main thing I think that people always miss out on is these, I forgot what it was called. I did a presentation on it like 4 times. It's like the secondary animation or the lag behind. What do they call it? I can't remember. It's just about keeping things fleshy, so things that are moving stay behind a little bit. So like here, she's moving her head, but boop did boop. Probably not a bad idea to put her head like this. Or she could also have some anticipation for it. Yeah, anticipation. It's just book. Guess book. It's book. Okay. Like this. Now I actually could do a little bit of a dip with her body to make it work. So, just to test it, just drop it. I think that does work, so I will go forward with it. I don't really care about the back side. It's not much. But then at the top of this, I can have her actually go and raise up a little bit. So we're gonna lock her thighs. Love that phrase. Let's see if we just raise her up a little bit. I think that works as long as I do a secondary bit with it. So I'm gonna straighten these out. So she goes up, but then I'm gonna have her constantly dropping to get a little bit of an extra oomph on this move. So now she can go down a little bit. I can probably manipulate that a little bit to make it work a little better for what I want. I'm going to turn those down, make these bend a bit more. Okay. And what I can actually do is, before this, I'm going to see if I can... This motion might be impossible to actually make work, but I want to see. I think it actually could work. It's gonna, a lot of these complex motions are gonna destroy the feet, but I don't care because I can't see them. Cancel animations? I have tons of those. Okay, and then when she goes up to go forward, I can actually have her... I've kind of covered some of them on previous streams. I don't mind going through some of them, though. Well, the ones I can go through. I'm like... If I'm not hearing her talk, I'm actually lipping it myself every time she says it because I have to have that audio cue for the timing. So it's weird. It's weird. I might go with that. It's still a little bit mechanical, but that's fine. I can smooth things. No, I muted it because I was doing something with the eyes, which the timing was there, so I didn't need the audio cue for it. I just haven't turned it back on yet. I don't find it as that annoying, but I know that others can. So like here even, I'm gonna grab, so it can be a little smooth. So boom, boom, boom. So I'm actually gonna grab the middle here, and normally I try not to do this, but I'm gonna grab, I think it's release, no, hold. Yeah. So what hold does is it pushes everything out from the center point. So if I go and hit hold a bunch, you can see it stretches it out to the edges. It can make these edge points really, really sharp. So that's why I don't like using it too much. But if you use it with just a little bit, like that much, it gets rid of some of the smooth, and it helps push the hard motions out to the edges. And even move it like this. Okay, if I do it that way, I have to slow it down a little bit. The only problem with doing some of this is, like right now, I probably want to do it here, not here, because this is a frame. If I go and move it here, I am shifting this peak off frame. That means that I am no longer using the peak. And I am removing some of the oomph. Yeah. That helps a lot. This part, actually I might, maybe I can, yeah, I'm gonna push it there. This I think might be kind of fast, but no, if you want to see some like cancel stuff, I can pull that up. But again, it's gonna be what I can show, because there are some canceled things that I potentially can't. I think one of them, I have an updated version on my flash drive here. And all my USB slots are full. What are you? I need you. I don't need you. Okay. Got too many USB stuffs. There we go. I think it's on there. Yeah, it's right here. We worked on it during BabsCon. I'm never gonna finish it, but it was something that I just putz around with and let people watch me work on. We'll check file size. Yep, it's bigger. I hate deleting things. That's like one of the biggest fears I have is deleting things. Anyway, so in terms of that, well, yeah, if you're are you in? If you're Minnesota, definitely do it. Okay, canceled. Memory's okay. This was one that I started, but then I didn't want to deal with copyright, so I just said I wasn't gonna do it because it was using copyright. What was gonna obviously be copyrighted music. Yeah, I really didn't get that far into it, but it's just like, I could probably shut this, that would help. But yeah, so whatever. I really didn't put that much effort into this, but yeah. Did this have the full scene in this one? Oh no, I removed it all. Yeah, there's really not that much done in it. Anyway, yeah, I remember the name. I actually remember. For some reason, I remember seeing your badge more than your face. I don't know why, but I remember. I definitely remember it. Technically, there's an event tomorrow at the Fantasy Flight for board games, starting at 4 o'clock. That one just started but never really got anywhere. Good Girl didn't really get anywhere. Fight for Flight, that was a scene build, not even anything. Foliage demo, kind of. Oh, that was with the picture demo. Alshai 3 is essentially just a blank document. But again, I hate deleting things. This is corrupted. Because I'd be putting, when you've worked on a YouTube channel for a while, to spend months working on something and then and then putting it on something else that's brand new, it kind of just feels like you're putting it somewhere that's going to get a minuscule amount of views and people compared to the main platform you present on. So why should I put the effort into something that I have to put on a secondary channel? I can put that same amount of effort into something that I can put on my main channel. So Psychic Horse, I always want to go back to this one, but I never will. It was so stupid. This is old too. Psychic Horse, I don't think 2015, so it's like 3.5 years old. I think this is before Remembrance. It's super early. Yeah, it never really got anywhere. All this is just broken up scenes after that. The armor thing, actually, I've used what I learned from having the armor broken up like that for other stuff. Ram Boom Slam, that's in my trailer. What is the name? That's something I can't show. Capture the Flag. I think this is the second video I ever started, and it was way too ambitious for my second video, and I dropped it real quick. I was gonna have Rainbow Dash doing all these like jumps and stuff, but I just have her like going up to the wall and kind of just going shoo. But it's like I was doing. That's when I started going like, why the hell am I doing TF2 crossovers? That's stupid. So that's all I have for it. But I mean, if you're talking about old, this one was 2013. So that was 5.5 years ago. So really old. Remember something else I can't show. Snail Train, that was stupid. Spitfire Fire, a picture that never got finished. Sunny Smiles, an inside joke. Tron is a picture never finished. This is the only other one that has a lot of unfinished stuff. But I've grabbed from this thing all the time to utilize it for like stealing pieces from it to use in other things. This is another one that was too ambitious to begin with. It was trailer type videos are really difficult to do because you have to constantly be changing scene builds and building and making separate scenes, and it was just it became too much to do that for something that was 2.5 minutes. So I just dropped it. It's barely past key, or it's still keyframe anyway. I didn't even figure out some of that. Haven't figured out that scene yet. Then, oops. I remember at least this part. I had some of the ideas for this. It was just going to be various scenes from the book, but for Fallout. But it was just a lot of. It would have been a lot of scene builds with high action stuff. That this video would have, if I wanted to try to finish it, would have taken me probably 1.5 to 2 years of work, and it's not worth it. This one I need actually to set up my fog. So it is negative 6585. That's close enough. 2731. When I started this thing didn't exist yet. Can't remember. I think it's just Skybox. I think for those distances, I don't think it's going to matter, so I'm just going to do both. So 63, close enough. 50 and 25. So I'm overriding Skybox values is what this is. Or Skybox fog values. So then we got this. Where am I? Oh, my church is missing. Pip's stupid face. This one's hard because there's so much crap that was going on in this one, and I don't have the map loaded for it. But got Pip dodging out of the way, and actually I've used this animation I made for her quite a bit on other stuff. I hated her head there, but whatever. But and there's even like there's like griffins in the background with guns. They're all Gilda with guns, but because there's no other griffin at the time. Hello. Air, there's airs everywhere. And then there's this one. I've really cheated with this scene build. It's literally just I follow the ground to make it so I could keep bumps, and then I just threw trash everywhere. It's the same model, just repeated like how many times? 330. Only a few. Let's see here. Let's grab this one. This model. But it actually made a pretty good like trash land. And actually I think I have that, or that fog value didn't save. It's always weird. Yeah. That's I know why it didn't. So I can show you what it's actually supposed to look like. 63 negative 65 20,000 something. Save, set, save. Is that how you do it? I can't remember. Yeah, there it goes. It doesn't do much, but it's to create a layered effect with the background. But, oh, this was an old canceled thing that I'm never going to finish. I did put out a GIF for this in its final form. I think it was its final form. It might have been a partial form, the final form, and that is this one. But yeah. And actually, this is a Skyrim dragon, but Skyrim dragons don't have 4 legs. So the legs look a little weird. It's fine from this angle, so I didn't care. But it is literally the legs of another pony, or another pony, another dragon just jammed into the front of him to make 4 legs. And it actually is amazing how well it works. Like, he's supposed to be attached to a building, but the building's not loading. But it actually looks pretty good. Like, it kind of blended right in. I'm not complaining about it. I know I've had people ask about, because for the dragony bit in here when he screams, because it lights up. Those are, I can put music back on. They're lights with a crack gobo light put on it, which I think those one come with TF2, so it's on all of them. And I attached it to the bone that's mostly moving, so you, like down here, you can see the cracks actually moving because of how it's attached. And then I just had them glow, or gave it like a bright glow spike, and then I just shifted it so it started at the head and moved down. And with all the motion, you don't even notice that any of them are moving. Yeah. little tricks to make things work. I don't think that... Did I have any other tricks in this one? That's just supposed to be on the big flyer things from whatever. Oh, to make the sky actually, or to give this more impactful feel for the spinning. The actual sky is spinning. So in the skybox, I actually have this, or in this 3D skybox, I actually have a skybox spinning just so I can get the much greater effect of the turn. Because without it, it did not have near the impactful feel. So, this is like one of my favorite shots I've done. I love this one, and I'm sad I'll never use it. That one actually is on DeviantArt too, though. Oops. Well, it takes time and patience, which is two things that are hard to do at all. Is there any other? Can't, cause like this one, Applejack pick. I don't know what that is. I have stuff that I can't show, so that's why I want to make sure I know what that is. 4/25/2018. I'm not sure, so I can't open it. Floating was another one. Reach for Me is another one I can't show. Missionaries I was working on before. Loop Spitfire. I still have to work on it a bit more. But this one was, I originally had a commission idea of making short, high definition graphics with an open space that could be, that people could buy the rights to for using in videos, like music videos and stuff, and just have these like ones. I just was not liking the pose here very much. I was trying to get something with the perspective play, but I still had to play with it a bit more. I just want to do like a hyper realistic, or not hyper realistic, hyper detailed ones like this for people that want loops. And I've asked a couple people, some musicians, and they are interested in stuff like this, so that was why. But I haven't got around to it, to actually finishing that. And it was going to be my goal when I got back from BronyCon, and that never happened. I have tons of tricks I can cover on stuff. What's one that would have a lot of tricks in it? Chemistry, probably. I have to figure out which one is the correct one here. 60, it looks like. Yeah, because I think I rendered it in 60. This one I'm pretty sure is going to crash me before it opens. Yeah, Brotherhood's awesome. But this one actually, when I did it, I'd separated into two files. One shot has its own files because it takes up more memory than the entire thing. The mirror. That this one in black is. No, the point of the stream is to show people stuff or examples, or if people can learn. So if people want to see certain things, that's actually kind of I used to bring it up as a thing of, let me know. There is actually a lot of really weird workarounds I had to figure out in this, and a lot of them were within the first 15 seconds. So on this, on these shots, this actual first one is all one shot. So I don't have all of them, but like them doing this. So I'm using the camera's light to just flicker, and then I'm using the one rig you can download for changing skins on a green screen that a lot of different colors of green screen, but I just changed it from green screens to actual textures. I have a filter over this right now that is actually making it black and white. So that the main purpose of that is so that I had the contrast right, and because coloring might not always be the same. So so you can actually add that as an effect. So the difference between the two. For these shots were fun. Okay, so again, these are black and white. You can see like the difference in the eyes here with the blue. It's a lot more blends with the black, so it mattered to have it in black and white. But the reason that this was difficult was because in the background here it was a negative shadow. So how do you create a negative shadow in SFM? How do you reflect something with a shadow that is brighter than the background? And so I had to think about it, and I came up with a way to do it. Obviously I have it here. So that's not an actual effect, that's actually in the video. So what I did was I utilized a secondary model right here that is doing the exact same motions. It's a copy paste, and shined a negative light at her. That's why she's incredibly dark. Through her, and so the negative light would then create darkness. And so I'm not creating a light or a lit shadow. I'm creating a dark outline to something. So the actual lit area that's left is the actual color of the background. And so this is the black light. So if I get up close to the wall, you can see I'm just making black. But when I hit the model then casts the shadow. Voila. So, and then I just had to find a position that made it look like a shadow of the same motion. So that was an interesting workaround to get that to work. It's cutting through his nose. I'm sorry. Sorry, Shiny. But I couldn't shine the black light at her to make the shadow, because if I did such, it would make her completely black, and I didn't want to do that. So yeah, that was an interesting workaround. I love troubleshooting, and so this finding the way to make this work was fun. This was another solution. So this. How do you make that come out liquefied? Because I do not know how to run After Effects in such a way to make that effect look good. So, but I know SFM more, so I just said, how can I make SFM do something impossible? So I made it work. This one is probably the most creative thing I had to do to make it work. So what this is a light cast onto the background. And so what I had to do was, if you go up here, this here is the water model that you can download that has some bones that you can do to make it look like water is moving. And a lot of them are at the center. So what I did was I grabbed all the bones in there and I jitter the crap out of them so that their distances, so that it created big spikes and effectively created small little gaps or like splotches within the model itself. And then I placed the pentagram's light right here, boop, and have it shine through this model with a shadow, so that the shadow itself, and I might be able to get this to show with a volumetric. Oh yeah, it's a negative though. Well, you can see that kind of, I guess. It's gonna be hard to. This is where the filter is, and so it's moving just a minuscule amount to get itself to go. Go drop that thing. Okay. So you can see that I'm actually kind of hitting it with the light here. So if I go and I change the min-max distance on that light, I think that the light's selected. There we go. Or is it on, off? Oh, there it is. The min-max. It's I have to be very, very, very small on the motions that I do here. I'll probably remap this. You can see that it's actually then sliding through that water model. And I just kept playing with the random nature of it until I got one that felt balanced and not like coming too much from one direction. So that was really, I did not think that was going to work. I remember sitting there forever trying to be like, how the hell am I going to do this one? And it worked. So that, yeah, if you want to talk about proudest moments in troubleshooting, that's probably one of them. And then this is just a particle effect, and then when the particle effect goes through, I just swap out the texture back there. Then this is literally just pulling backwards. Somebody in the stream, I can't remember who it was, actually gave me the translation so that it says Full Metal Pony. This is a volumetric light of the same symbol. I have to turn that off, so it's not gonna work. But I think I did it in a separate one. Yeah. Oh, it's this one. So it's a volumetric light, but I made it thin enough so that it actually looked like it was just glowing in the background there. And this is where I put the text over it. But then when this happens, to make it fade into the camera is just easy. I just decreased the minimum distance of the light, and it just started coming towards the camera. So that was an easy part. These are all scene builds that I just threw in there. It's exceptionally bright, but whatever. I'll go over a little bit how her legs were done. To make this work, I had to, because here I had a little like outline come out. And I had to do that in post by taking the last frame and like doing a black and white thing and then having it fade over it. That took a little bit extra work, but that was all post. Oops. This I need. It says desert test. Oh yeah, it's not 2. I'm always used to the grassland. Hello. No, the butt stamp was gone. The texture was modified at the time of the video being rendered, but since then I've had to use that same model for other stuff, so that modification is gone. The particles I think broken, yeah. So we'll ignore that. But him moving through here, another issue that came up was how do I give him footsteps in the sand? So those are actually all negative lights. So like here where his foot is landing is literally a light that is just slightly dark and just on the ground there that I just put a crap load of them so that it made it look like dark spots in the sand where he is walking. Though technically with how he's walking, he's essentially doing a cat's walk. I forgot what they call it, where the front leg and the back leg stand on the same spot. So but that's fine. And to make it so that I had the contrast of light here and dark here, there is a negative light streaming across the edge of the camera on this side and a brighter volumetric light shining across this part on the bottom, which creates that neat effect. And the particles are just busted here. It's a problem when you haven't touched the file for a while. This one, okay, so this needs the void. It was interesting. Because in the actual video, no, that's not what I want. Okay, I don't want audio. In the actual video, if you watch that part, yeah, here, I have to have this like flat thing in the background that's lifting, and I knew this was going to be sloppy no matter what I was doing. So, but I needed these long cast shadows with the green screen, so I had to, and I think the lighting's, oh, these don't have their light shadows enabled, but I have all these weird light setups done so that over these green screen panels it would cast these shadows, but I had to make sure that it would cast the shadows super long, but I had to make sure I was still lighting them correctly. But to get it to work on the green screen, I had to light them so much that it made their eyes overly bright, like these bright whites, like you can kind of see it now. And the only way to fix that was I had to modify the texture to lower its brightness on the actual eye itself. And then I actually have the TF2i come up through the middle. So that was an interesting one. There was a lot of I had to use the green screen and cropping to get the whole thing to work. It was really stupid. That one was such a sloppy scene. Oh, this one needs flat sand dark. Okay. No, not like that. Because I would, and actually I could have kind of made it work. You could put a texture way in the background that is huge and lock it to the camera as it's moving. So technically I could have it do that motion, but the problem is how do I get the shadow to overlaid on it? The shadow was an important part of that. Oh, and that was the interesting thing with the shadow, is that the lights in SFM are all going to cast in one direction, but the shadows here had to be cast in opposite directions. So how do I light them both so that I'm casting an enormously long shadow for one and not the other? It was a lot of very, very careful shadow placement. And then I also had to make sure that they were well lit enough. You can still see their eyes are a little bit overly bright in here, like her actual pupil, but I couldn't do anything about that. For this, oh, I wish that these had actually loaded. Because one thing that I was meticulous about was if you look at the comparison here at that shot, I was meticulous in placement of rocks. So if you actually look here, in how the trees are placed, there's a big tree, little tree, little tree, two trees, little batches of trees, here, two trees. I tried to make it accurate to its tree placement and how these mountains were actually placed, where it was open. So I was actually being super accurate for all these shots up through here. So you can see the trees here, 3 trees here, a couple here. There's a mountains up here in the distance. Same thing, I think. Oh yeah, I just left the mountains from the previous shot. So, but I think the trees are still accurate. Here, 3 trees, another tree, 2 trees in the corner. I was super. That I went as far as I could to make that work. Anyway, so this, not this one, this one. So that's what this was. And it's just a big flat sand area. And I thought, oh, the model's missing again because I don't have it loaded, but that it was like the cracked ground model. That's what this is repeated. To get them colored like that, I had done an override on them to give them a glow. To just bump up the blue and bump up the red to insane amounts, and then I rendered it twice. And anytime I had to fade, like here, there's a version of Twilight that is, it says remember the eye lights, because she's got blue eye lights, but then when I go and swap out from blue to normal, her eyes would still be blue. So when I go to render, it was my reminder of okay, you swapped out the model, now make sure you swap out the lights. And that would be to just turn that off. So. And this was actually difficult too, to try to make it look like this was actually a sunrise. To go from night to then making it look like the sun was coming up. That was time consuming. This is so zoomed that her eye is doing that weird thing that I was mentioning. Oh, I guess not from that angle. Yeah, then the edges, that wobbly bits. You can actually see that in the video. It's a very, very minor bit, but it is there. This one I will get to because it's in a separate file. This is back to the void, I think. It says the map name. Yep, there's a separate shot I was gonna wait until to get to that's almost coming up here as to how I did the legs, because the first shot I did the legs with. This one, to make it look like the energy, whatever, I just have some like weird gobo light of like water on the surface of something, and I have them like overlaying each other and just shaking and getting brighter. It doesn't even break, it just goes away. Wow, that's broken. Errors. It's literally just like a texture thing where it has all these little, I think they're individual models, exploding out, and then just these the tendrils from the Everfree vines, and then I just have them doing their thing. But anyway, so this is the shot that I was gonna do the leg thing. So the reason I was going to do that is because I think I still have the keyframe. So there's no actual motion, they're sitting still. Oh, I've trapped the particles for that too. So these, I originally just made her fight nothingness, and then I just made the tentacles match up with her. Made it easier that way. But I thought I still have... Yeah, I do. So Twilight's body is split in two. So one of them is Twilight. Shut the audio. And so I kept her shoulder and I was locking it all to the bone just below it. And so it's an actual separate model, which made it tough because that means I had to animate two separate models at the exact same time. But that's how the whole thing worked. It was two separate models. But that made it difficult because if I was working on one shot and I needed to put Twilight in another shot with the armor, I couldn't copy paste the two because I lose the linkage and it destroys all everything. So to make it work, I had to remember the phase to go through for relocking and redoing stuff. But this actually has it broken up. So this is well, that's just the base, so slapping her ass, I guess. I called it Edward Sparkle. This is the keyframe. So this is originally how I had everything. It's missing her arm, but how I keyframed it. So I had like having her come in. So there we go. You can kind of see where that matched the original. But then I did have to add in some other stuff as I went. And it was all even frames and I just retimed it later. But then when it came to the tentacles, I just went and when she goes to get hit, I just made the tentacles come up and hit her at that moment. So So that one's pretty interesting. There's no actual motion. The trees are just flying by at some high speed, and there's a skybox spinning past her. So, him doing this, I mean, that's just erupting from below him and going her, and they're like tickles. This one, actually, I was really happy with how this one turned out. Though that's why this Sky Dome, I think, had just been, oh, that was the wrong Sky Dome. The Sky Dome, I think, had the brightness turned down. That's why it's seeming so bright. But yeah, he had to be animated to do the backflip. Every time these tentacles come flying in, it's using the rock explosion that is done when, and TF2, you bring the bomb to the pit and it gets dropped in. That's the same explosion of rocks. But it ends up looking pretty cool because it's broken into pieces where when it impacts, a couple models come out to make it look like the rock itself is coming out of the area, and then the rocks come blowing out. Which, when you actually look at it up close here, it looks kind of cheesy and stupid, but when you look at it from a distance, and with everything else going on, it actually looks pretty good. And all of them are copy pastes of each other. Shiny armor here. This is the same jump. I just copy pasted it and changed a few things. Get rid of the Sky Dome again here. So this is literally shut off all the lights of everything, turn on a really bright blue light, and then turn it back up to normal again. And these are the same tentacles, and then I just loaded these like teeth models and attached them all the way across the whole spine, and then just had it like jitter when it was blowing up. It's just more rocks coming up with the same explosion of rocks. There's no differences or changes. It's all exactly the same as the previous shots. This one, just a quick swipe. Nothing special about that one. This one took me forever to try to get done. It was like positioning it so I had the night sky and the moon and the light around it and the glow, and having it actually stream through this. Then all the animating for getting her to jump this. I mean, there's a surprising amount of animation I had to do into this, like make it so that she landed here and then jumped backwards, and her doing her jump. So, I think I've used that alicorn jump once or twice though. But then having Rarity do her like super ultimate backflip that makes no sense. This one, most of this, I did a distortion effect in post. He's dancing. Yeah, he's got a jig going on. He was made really big. This guy's got a mechanical leg as well. Yeah, those swords. To get the blood to come up on here, that is another negative light, but instead of making it black, I just made it red, and then I just increased its distance as it went. So bloodline. So this is the actual light for it, and as well, I guess I got us headed a little bit there too. But as he goes, I just increased its distance that it was going, and then for that last little bit, I just aimed it up, and it did a little quick swipe forward. They're so poorly like I did not want to have him running the surface, so that's why I had him fly, do a quick little push off here. It's so cheaply done, but it works. Like even Spike here, like he's coming out of his flesh. But I mean that is Spike, so okay. Oh, so the texture here had originally alpha'd out the beard, but apparently it had been fixed, so she has the beard again. This crystal eruption was let's get rid of the snow. Was done with just I had like just random snowball mounds, and I just had it all like erupt with her. I was really proud of some of the hair motion with her. This is nothing special. Nothing special. To get the mark on her hooves, because it needed to change to red here, that's another negative light that's just shined at her hoof. So that's an actual light. You can kind of see that it's like at the lines because it's so on such a tight edge, but it was fine. It worked. Thought there's something else with Chrysalis to point out. No. They blow up. I think to make the trees sway here. Yeah, the tops of the trees are separate from the bottom, so I just like put a couple of them on top of each other and just made them move independently. This, I really wish I could have done a better job with this, but for the time restraint, I just kind of said fuck it, and called it good. And actually, in this scene, when it was rendered, Celestia is actually smoking a cigarette. I was making the point of if it's not on camera, it doesn't matter. So, she's smoking. So that's how I actually rendered it too. But it never actually shows her mouth. This one, what is this one? Flat sand again. Oh, it came up. Not dark. This one has a couple weird workarounds. So the one thing that I thought was going to be interesting was that in the actual video, they have their hands out. I wonder if I can find it again here. It's interesting to see how they actually did this. So if you look at this, and I don't know if I'm going to get it frame by frame, they literally spin like tops on place. They don't actually move. But I'm like, okay, that makes sense if you're on two legs. You have a central point that's fairly small. But when I have four legs, how do you do that? And so I ended up having to do the same thing. But the problem was when you're zoomed in like this, their hooves would be fairly small. So to make the hoof thing work, they have literally like enormous hooves. Look at my hoof. Yeah, they're enormous. And then when they go to slide into position, they just shrink down to normal size. But you just play with the camera a little bit, nobody really notices. Voila. To get this shot to work, to get this darkened edge, there's volume, or again, dark lights shining in from the edges to just give the effect that this is a much darker encompassing circle coming straight from there. The actual ground here is not have a bump map or cuts in it. Those are actually lights as well. I like faking things with lights, I guess. If you actually go to the transmutation circle here, boom, boom, they are gone. So the first thing I did was I put down a dark one. So this is the actual like normal texture, super high resolution. That's what I was trying to find. So that had nice detail, nice and sharp, because I was going to be looking at it from up close from right here. I think I actually might have went through and cleaned it up and redid it to make a texture that was higher resolution. Then on top of that, I placed this, which is a lit version. So this is, instead of being a negative light, it's a positive light, a normal light, and it's bright. And then there is a dark version, which seems weird because, like, what's the difference between the dark and the normal? And it's that it's darker, and there's a reason. So if you take the negative light though and you shine another light on top of it, part of it cancels, so you get this. So I took it and then I shifted it just a little bit, and what it did was it kind of gave a false impression of a bump map. So what you get is a lit edge on this side, and this side now has light and dark being on top of each other, so they cancel out slightly. And then this side doesn't have any light because it got shifted, so it makes a darker edge. This was originally going to be used to make that dark edge, but then you really didn't need it. So it creates a false bump map, in a way, by making it look like the light, and especially if you look at it from here, you really can't tell the difference between a bump map and it being lights. It actually looks pretty decent. So the problem I had though was, if I didn't want them to be too far separated right here, because at this point you're up close, so that it shouldn't be that deep. But when you go to this far away, it would be very hard to tell where those bump maps edges were in there if they were that small. And so if you actually go and now look at these from this distance, it doesn't look near the same. As the camera actually shifts away, I actually have it move the light further so that the effect is maintained at this distance. Otherwise, if you didn't do that, you would gain something like this, where now they just looks like a flat lines on the ground. I didn't want that, so I have it actually move so that so you can actually see that difference. And they're not even touching, but at that distance, who cares? You don't see those kind of details. And that was just bump maps and lights and stuff in the background there. This doesn't really need the map, it's just taking the same thing with explosions. That model originally had that part of the chain hidden, and I loaded another chain in there that I could animate. I just replaced the texture on there. To make them fade in, I just have a so this is the camera shining through here, and then you have the ponies standing here, and I just have a white volumetric light sitting between them, and when they go to fade in, I just fade the light away. These were fixed renders for stuff. Oh no, like here, this was for like changing the color for them so they had the correct color. This I needed to do a dark bit with them. Yeah. Oh, this was to get the smoky stuff to fly across, I think, or something like that. I don't know. The one shot in here that wasn't shown was this one, which is called Massive. And the reason it had to be separated is because a pony model has a lot of polygons and details to it. It's probably gonna crash before I get in here. And because of that, every pony model you load is a lot more memory in the system, and you only have so much per save file. So I was already kind of hitting the limit for what I had, and then you go and do yeah, I thought so. You go and put a shot with like 30 models in it, and you're going to start having memory issues because every one of those is taking up more memory, and they take up a lot of memory. Have I ever done a collab with Inverted Shadow? No, I have not done any collab with him, but I have. I've met him at almost every BronyCon and talked with him. He was on the SFM panel one year, and he's been on the to the SFM panels every other time I know of. But no, I've gotten to talk with him and stuff. He's pretty cool, dude. But this one, I had a couple tricks I did to reduce memory usage because I knew that even on its own file with its own memory to worry about, this one is still going to be running out of memory. And come on. And it was a good thing I did because it ended up still being, I think, pretty close to max, or close enough. It doesn't matter how much memory I have. SFM is a 32-bit program, so it tops out at 3,300 megabytes. So I have 16 gigs, but it doesn't know how to use it. There's a lot of ponies to load. Okay, so it might be a little difficult because it looks like the ponies are not pointed to correctly. So the ponies are supposed to fade in for these shots. Oh, I think that was actually no. Those are the ponies are there. This is the ground, the cracked ground that I used. But because they're actually supposed to fade in, I had to render the shot multiple times so that I could overlay them on top of each other and have them fade. So this first one is just with the base ones, and then the next one is with Rainbow Dash rendered again. So then I just faded those two together, and then the next one is with Bat Pony, and then yeah, from there I just keep adding more. But each of these is a lot more memory used. And then you get to this one. So this was a lot of pony models to have loaded at once. And if all of these were unique, you can tell my frame rate's right now running at 1.5 to get all the pony models in here. Some little joking stuff. I have like rarity and stuff down here, but I have put me right here. What were the other ones? I know that there is this little Pip? No, it looks like a little Pip though. There is Blackjack in here somewhere. Yeah, there's Blackjack. Oops. I haven't retextured Big Max, we still gold. But the only way that I was able to keep this or do this without having to do too many or having that many unique models loaded, if I shut a lot of the actors off, it's a lot more manageable with frame rate. So once I kept all the actors till the very end, but it was still hard on the system. But for these actors, so I did them in groups. These are the groups in terms of what's needed per shot, so I could figure out who's needed for each one. The dummies are the ones that are in the background. So let me hide all but the dummies. Okay. So these are all the dummies. Am I a dummy? I'm not a dummy. Quit sweet. So to get around the issue of having that many unique models, what I did was all these are numbered 1 through 5. And these 5, I only have 5 models out there total. So what I did was I took 5 models of different mixes of Unicorn, Pegasus, and I think it's like 2 male and 3 female, which is this one. So this is model number 1, this one, and then this one is model number 2. Where are you? I think you're on the edge. Yeah, there you are. So you can tell this one over here is a yellow mane with a green skin. This one is a darker yellow with a darker green skin. And if I started going around to some of these other ones, like this one, it's yellow with a lighter skin. All I really did for all of them was I took those 5, I copy pasted them, adjusted the color hue of their textures so that like by adding blue I could turn red into a purple and stuff like that. And by doing that, I still only have 5 models that are in my actual memory. I'm still having to the system still has to handle them being out there in terms of performance, but in terms of memory usage, I tested it. I loaded like 300 Lyra models, and my memory was super low. My process, it was super slow for frame rate because I had that many models on the screen at once, but my memory was low because I had 300 instances of the same model. Because when I copy paste, it doesn't create a new instance of the model in memory. It just creates, because it creates the model and then it creates its instance in the shot. And so it's just creating multiple instances of the shot, but it's all pointing to the same model. So that's why, that was my way of saving memory. So you can see that I have 17 sets of 5, or 18 almost. Oh, towards the end, to try to mix things up, I started copy pasting certain ones to try to keep it mixed up. So yeah, that was my way to reduce my memory on this one. And I've done that in other things too. Another thing that you can do if you need a lot of ponies but you don't want to utilize a lot of memory for them is, if you can find it, because I don't know how easy they are to find anymore, and this might crash me just opening this up. Find the old models, like the old, I think this is one of them. We'll not look at that one because that was me playing with stuff. So we go to the old Fluttershy. So, oh, no, not W. And if you look at her up close, you can tell, if I like go wireframe, just look at, I can show you a comparison. Just look at how many polygons are in the face, especially like around here in the nose. And then if I go to the enhanced ones, do I have an enhanced Fluttershy? Maybe I don't. Just look at the comparison. So there is immensely more polygons on the enhanced or the VN models compared to the old ones for like that were not long after KP Shadow Swirl. So I mean, look at how many back here compared to now. I mean, there's way more, which helps with the lighting. But these therefore take up less memory because they have less polygons. So grabbing those models, and if they're in the background, you're not going to tell the difference. So who cares? Hello, Queen. So yeah, I think that's really all for that one. The only thing it might be, I'm already over in time, but like the end shot, the only thing that would be interesting there is that the camera spins, but I had locked the camera to a separate model and had that doing the spinning with the camera just like taking the ride. So yeah, that's that. Plus chemistry had a whole lot of just weird crap to make it work, but the troubleshooting was one of the funnest parts. Blah. Anyways, so but that's it. I'm done for today, this week. I'll be back next week. Yeah. We'll work on video stuff more. Yeah, can't think of anything else. So, if you're coming to stream, have a cat. Where's the cat? Yeah, and if you're if you have nothing going on tomorrow, like I said, Fantasy Flight at 4 p.m. in Roseville. They're doing we're doing a board game thing. So, and that goes until I think midnight. It's usually midnight-ish, depends. But they have good food there and stuff. So, anyway, I will go by now. Oh yeah, wait. Cat. There you go. I almost forgot the cat. Yeah, MOA is next week. So not a week from tomorrow. So, alright, I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.